Well, hello, everybody out there in podcast land. Thank you again for joining us for the Get Happy podcast. Yes, let's do this with me again, your host, Brandi Davy. Hello. And today I have a very, very special guest and also a certified facilitator of Access Consciousness, the lovely, beautiful Brandi Nelson.
Hello,
and the crowd goes, well,
Johnny.
Thank you so much for joining us. You look so beautiful. You guys are going to have to jump on the YouTube so you can see it. She got all pretty for me, and you just got to see it.
I know. I wore my red, my sexy red today, just for you, honey.
Yes, my lips match your top there, Gerba.
Yes. I love it.
I love it too. So please, for our podcast peeps and YouTube's peeps, that's easy for me to say, watching now or in the future, could you tell them a little bit about who you are, who you be, all the things?
All the things. Yeah. Well, who I be, that changes day to day, and anytime you're using the tools of access the way that you and I do, that's just what happens. You wake up and you're like, who the hell am I today? And what grand and glorious adventures will I have today? Right.
That is so true.
So I am a certified facilitator, and I'm a mother, I'm a wife. My husband and I have been together for 26 years. I've got 2 teenagers. And I am just, what could you call me? I'm an avid, seeker.
Love it.
I'm very curious, and, I love magic and I love ease. My motto is fast and easy, and so the tools of access consciousness have definitely been a huge contribution to creating that as my reality. So I love getting to use those tools and be here and play with that.
Fantastic. Wonderful. How did you find access anyway? I'd love to hear people's access.
Yeah. Well, it was back in around 2012 or 13. And I had been hosting a holistic practitioners kind of networking group. And we were getting together on a regular basis for different people in the group to kind of share what they did. And so this one particular night, I didn't know the lady, she was coming, and she was talking about bars. So she was doing a bars taster. And for anybody who doesn't know what the bars are 32 points on the head, where when you have those run, it's like deleting all the crap that's holding you back in life. And it's just amazing. In fact, I need to get mine done today. But so I showed up, I was at this event, she was doing a taster. And when she was done, and she just showed us a couple of spots, but when she was done, I was like, wow, I'm going to go learn how to do this. And I'm going to actually teach this. So I had never had a full session, and I knew I was going to be a facilitator.
Wow.
So I showed up at her next class, and I took the class. I took my first of 3 classes, and then took my second of 3, and then my third of 3. And then I was teaching.
And you did it as quickly as I did, but it took me longer to actually get there. I had gone to a chiropractor friend of mine. We were doing some vitamin business together for a while. And he invited me to go to a friend of mine, actually it was a songwriter's house, because this guy was in from out of town and he was going to channel and yada, yada, yada. And this was 2003. And it was Gary Douglas of all.
I love it.
In Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
So there we all are. I know it was so bizarre. And the thing, I had, at the time I was also channeling, now I just talk to things on the other side. I don't necessarily, as you know, because I know that you're a talk to the entities facilitator, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was actually allowing these things in, but in this case, by that time, that's what was going on. Now it's a different story. I am at Kent Blasey's digs and the grand poobah of Access Consciousness. Mr. Gary Douglas, who created the bars, by the way, was talking and all of this. And I didn't really have a takeaway then, other than I met this woman there, and she started trading readings for bar sessions. So I had gotten several, like every other week we were trading. So once a month I was getting a bar session.
That's awesome.
I would pass out, girl.
Yeah.
Brandi, I would wake up and be like, what do you mean an hour and a half just went by? You know, but
Yeah.
I would feel so relaxed. My mind chatter would go down. And I knew it was something that I required, but it wasn't until 2011 that I thought, because she had moved away, I said, I really got to find someone else to run my bars. And then I found a class in Franklin, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from Nashville, where I live, and took that class. And then, like you, I found 2 other classes to take as soon as I could, because I knew I had to facilitate that class.
Yeah.
So what happened
next? Such a gift. Well, so what happened next was I started facilitating, and the really cool part about using these tools, when you're really committed to using them, they change things very quickly. Mm-hmm. If you're not willing to have change and you're not willing to receive, you'll kind of start making excuses for why you can't keep going. And that was me. That was me.
No, really?
So I facilitated for about a year. At that time, I actually had a healing practice where I had been, quote unquote, channeling other beings and doing energy healing and all these other cool modalities. And so I was just like, oh, well, I'm going to go do this thing over here, and I'm not going to mess with this. So that was probably in 2014, I'm guessing, if I can remember. Time gets really weird too. But so like time, what time? What you mean there's time? What's time? So anyway, so I went on exploring, doing all these other things and trying to find more consciousness. And it was interesting because in 2019, I was in a car accident. Oh. And some really cool things happened during that event. I'm going to call it an event. It wasn't an accident. It was an event. Sure. And during that event, well, I'll just say it. Another being came into my body. Cool. And everything changed. And the polarity in my world was gone. And it was the coolest thing, because leading up to that day on the drive where my friend and I were going, we were talking all about the polarity and a reality beyond this reality where polarity doesn't exist, and like all these things. And then we had the accident on the way home. That was in quotation marks for anybody who's just listening and they can't see.
Right. Is it possible, though, you were a futurist and you knew it was coming, and that's why you had that conversation? That light to you?
You never know. Yeah, it's super light.
That's so cool.
And it was very cool. But what was really cool about it was to be in that moment where, so I got home, we were out stranded in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming, in the middle of the night, in the middle of May, when it was not supposed to be snowing anymore. There was a snowstorm that came, and that's how we ended up having this car accident. The car spun out on the bridge, on the ice, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we finally get home. That was on a Monday. Tuesday, I'm in this really different space, and I can't quite, like, nobody's around. My kids are coming and going from school, but it's just us. So there's not a lot going on for me to like have any reference points.
Okay.
So then Wednesday comes around, and my son, at the time, he was in like 9th grade, and he came home and he's like, Mom, I need to tell you something. He said, there's this kid on the bus and he's talking about shooting the school up tomorrow. And he told me to make a list of names for the people he wants me to spare. And I'm sitting here listening, and he's like, well, I called and I reported it anonymously about that time. Knock, 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 knock on my door. The cops are at my door, wanting to talk to my son who reported anonymously.
Sure. Yeah. That's how those work.
Exactly.
Tracers, y'all. Anyway.
So the cops come in and they're talking to my son and they're asking him questions, and I'm just sitting there watching all of this. Now, I am a mama bear of magnitude. And when
as you should be, right?
When something shows up as a threat to my children, it's like, I don't know if you have kids, Rodani, but it's like just this out of control kind of thing. You just don't know what the hell's going to happen.
I have a cat and a mom that I take care of. And
Yeah.
yes, if anybody fucked with either one of them, I would kill them. So,
Well, there you go.
yeah.
That's the energy, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this and I'm going, wow, normally I would totally be reacting right now. Who the fuck am I that I'm not reacting right now? Like, what is this?
Right.
And then they asked my son, are you afraid to go to school? He says, oh no, kids talk about this stuff all the time. And when he said that, there was this part of me that was like, wait, what? Kids find this stuff normal? What? This is normal to talk about killing each other? What? This is, and there was this thing where, again, I go, wow, normally I would have just lost my shit over that. Like I would have totally went into reaction and I wasn't. And so as they're talking to him and I'm watching this and observing my reaction and non-reaction, I'm like, this is so weird. And it was in that moment that I realized I wasn't being triggered. I wasn't aligning and agreeing. I wasn't resisting and reacting. There was no polarity in my world. And at the same time, I was aware that I still cared very deeply about what I was hearing him say. You know, these things about the kids finding it normal. And when they said, well, you know, would you stay home? And he said, no, I've got too much to do. I've got a test I've got to take. And I'm thinking, you have a test you have to take over staying home and being safe and not dying kind of thing? Like what? So it was just really a weird experience, but but having that experience with my children, it got me to this awareness that there's no polarity. So that was really cool. And then as the weeks went on, polarity kind of started showing up again. And I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly, and I don't remember which book it was, but there was an Access book that that I'd had for years, and it just kind of pinged me again, and I picked it up and I'm starting to read something in it. And the very first thing I read in this book was Access is designed to get you out of polarity. And I was like, what? How did I not know this? How did I not know this? Wait, what? And so it was like, when I got that, I was like, done. Like, and so I went back, I connected with everybody I needed to connect with. And I said, look, I need to reinstate my bars facilitator license, and I'm going to be a CF. And I chose that in October of 2019. And I was a CF. I had all my prereqs for CF within 9 months and became a CF.
I think I must have become one. Did you go to Costa Rica?
This was during COVID. So it was a Costa Rica, but it was online.
Okay, I remember they did it from their house, and it was the first year they'd done it online, correct?
Yeah, 2021.
Hey, okay, now I get it. Yeah, I decided, late bloomer, so sorry. I was hosting so many other CFs, and I had a lot of repeat people coming to the foundation classes, and they were like, you know more than she does. Why aren't you teaching that class? That's how it started for me. And I was like, you know what? They're right. I'm getting like 15 people in for these classes, and they're making all the money. What am I doing here?
What are you doing?
I'm not getting, and I'm
I love it.
Not that it had to be about money, but if I'm actually facilitating more than they are, and I'm hosting them, it wasn't making any sense. So that's how I got started. That was 2018, I think. So here I found Access in 2003, became a bars facilitator in 2011, and then I didn't even actually leap in. You know, late bloomer, we're gonna say. But
we get it when we get it, right?
And I had a lot of other things going on in my world. I mean, I know you mentioned that thing about how you make up excuses and all the stuff, but I actually had a 6-figure business. I was a film producer, and then I was also singing and all of that, getting hired to sing jingles and with other bands. And so it was like,
cool.
I really didn't have the time, and I didn't know that I could actually have a successful Access consciousness business. I had no idea that could happen. And it really was a year before COVID that I started to notice that my classes were getting bigger and bigger, and how much I loved teaching. And then the gift of COVID was, oh my gosh, I got to teach people all over the world.
Yeah.
How's that been for you?
It's been amazing. Man, COVID has been the greatest gift in my life, like truly, truly,
So weird.
in so many ways, so many ways. My income went up. I love being at home and working from home, and it's just been perfect. I've loved every minute of it.
Loving every minute of it. Sorry, sometimes I break out in song, although I don't know where my microphone is. Just oh, here it is. The cleaning lady came, so I hid my microphone. Because
does your microphone have sparkles? It needs sparkles.
Maybe I should. It is a Sennheiser. This is the real deal, y'all. I got 4 of these. Now I can do this official. Loving every minute of it. Come on. Anyway,
I love it. Oh, baby.
So, all right then. You are. I know you're a Talk to the Entities facilitator. You're also a Being You facilitator. We talked briefly about entities. There's one thing I do want to touch on about the entity piece. You mentioned that another being showed up during the accident, after the accident. How were you aware of that?
I wasn't aware of it until months later.
What was the tip off? I'm very curious.
I definitely remember being in an access class and it starting to ping, and it was something Dane said, and I can't remember what exactly. But then when I was but it still didn't like gel, right? Like it was just kind of like just a subtle whisper, and I didn't quite get it. And then I was at the Being You facilitator training in Mexico last year, and he was facilitating me around something, and he asked me, are you a walk-in? And it was so light. And when we got to the time frame and the age and blah, 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 it coincided.
Got it.
With that.
Interesting. And I love that you were so open to receiving that, because a lot of people would be resisting and reacting to that.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm a walk-in.
No. What's so funny? I have to tell you about this, Rujani. So when I decided to come back to Access, I had actually taken, it was at the time I'd gone through I was a bars facilitator in 12, 13, I forget when it was. And had gone through what at that time they called it level 1 and level 2. Right. I'd gone through level 1. And so, which now equates to our foundation class. So I'd gone through that. And so I'm sure we talked about entities then, but I don't remember any of it. And at the time, like I said, I had a healing practice, and I was definitely channeling entities, and doing a lot with them, but I still just didn't, I don't know. It was just kind of like, when you're breathing, you don't really think about it.
I'm glad you put it that way, because see, my entire life I had been talking to entities, and not just beings without bodies. I'm talking about trees, grass, the wind. And I thought everybody did that. And, rude awakening, when my mother's like, hey, people going to take you crazy, girl. You shut the fuck. She didn't say it that way. Well, I am paraphrasing her.
It was funny because when I decided to come back to Access and I did my foundation, at that time, my second foundation class in 2019, stuff came up about the entities, because we cover entity stuff briefly in the foundation class. And a lot came out of that conversation. And I came home and I remember telling my husband, I'm like, well, apparently I have these capacities with entities. He just looked at me and he was like, yeah.
Okay.
You've been doing it for 10 years now? I was like,
yes, now get it.
Yeah, I guess I have. But it was so crazy because I'm just like, oh yeah, I guess I have.
Well, that's exactly what you said though. You take it for granted because it's what you already know. Yeah. You would never think, I remember I never thought of charging people for channeling until someone actually said to me, I've got several friends that would be really interested. I bet you could make some money at this. I said, you think so? Really? Okay. I guess I'll charge money for that. And, and then that business was taking over my film production business. So weird. I was like, I can make more money doing that than schlepping around all over the place with cameras and all this stuff and, creating music videos. Not that I did not love that at the time. I truly did. So, Wow. So he points it out to you. He's like saying, babe, like for the last 10 years, you've been doing this. What are you talking about? Are you a freakazoid of magnitude? Please acknowledge your talents and abilities, Gara.
That right there, and it's like, that is something that we're not taught in this reality to acknowledge ourselves, right? And that's just another tool in Access. It's probably one of my most favorite tools, and it's probably one that I could even turn up a little bit more for myself, is acknowledging me and the gift that I be.
Please do that.
Yeah.
The world needs you. And the more you acknowledge it, the more you can
truly, right? Like the gift of all of us is something that, like, it's kind of like, I've heard Dane, you've heard Dane say this too, where it's like, you can't see yourself as a being, like you can't see yourself. And that's the gift of having people like you in the world, and then us getting together and having these conversations, is that inevitably somebody says something that gives you a glimpse of your being and an acknowledgement of your being. And speaking of the Being You classes, that's been the greatest gift to me of being in Access, is becoming a Being You facilitator, because it is truly allowed me to tap into my being and access my being and show up as more of me than ever before. And Dane here, oh my gosh, like he is such an invitation. And this right? I love this.
So you guys that aren't watching on YouTube, I'm holding up a prop. It's called Being You Change the World by Dr. Dane here, the co-founder of the Access Consciousness. And here's the thing, I want to go into this more, but I have to take a quick break for my sponsor.
Okay.
So you guys hold tight. We'll be right back.
Now a word from our sponsor.
Feeling a little funky? Devi Essentials Pure Oil Blends can maximize your inner balance. These 100% pure oil blends are designed to vibrationally open up the channels within the physical and multi-dimensional bodies. Your body. So if you're trying to find your groove, let these pure essential oil blends work for you. For more information, go to rudranidevy.com. That's RUDRANIDEVI.com.
What creations are asking to be in this world? What would they like to look like? What contributions are your creations? Here at Designing Essentials, we ask these questions plus many more on how your creations can contribute not only to your life and living, but also to the world. Design in Essentials. Be you. Design your life. For more information and discover possibilities with your creations, visit www.designinaessentials.com.
And we're back!
Great!
Goodness gracious. I hope you had a chance to pee. No, I hope you listened to our sponsors. It's very important. They keep this show on the road.
That's right.
Anyway, Brandi Nelson in the house. Oh, yeah. And you're fixing to tell us a little bit more about being a Being You facilitator. And I very briefly mentioned the book. Oh my gosh. And on Audible too, you guys. So if you're really lazy book readers, which I've become in the last 3 years, I have to admit, and I've written 3 books, which is so weird. I've become a huge fan of Audible. So by all means, you can have Dane here in your ear. And he also has this book, Body Whispering, which is the one I'm listening to right now.
Oh gosh.
I started to read it and I only got that far. So
when I picked that book up and I read it when it first came out, I could not put it down. I think I got through it in 24 hours. And then he just released it on Audible. Was it a week ago?
Like 3 days ago. I
3 days ago.
Bought it. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
For those of you in the future,
so good.
I don't even remember the date today. Anyway, it's early March. So maybe it's the 4th or 5th or something. I don't remember. But like you said earlier, days, times, what?
Right. Truly.
Oh.
Just go to Audible now. Whenever you're listening to this right now, go to Audible if you have Audible and find the book Body Whisper. And if not, go to Amazon and buy it. Or you can go to the Access Consciousness website and buy it from the shop.
You could. Absolutely. So what made you decide to be a Being You facilitator? Did you take a class first, or what happened?
Well, yes, I did take a class. And it was like one of these things where, so here's a story, Rujani. So in 2009, this was before Access, I got the hit or the message or what guidance, whatever you want to call it, that I was going to be a yoga instructor. So I had never taken a yoga class. This is how things get created in my life. I had never taken a yoga class. I just like, oh, I'm going to go teach yoga. Okay, cool. So, the normal person would probably go find a yoga class to take a class to see if they even like it.
No, you didn't. You just took.
I found a yoga teacher training, and I dove into yoga teacher training to become a yoga instructor. And that's how I learned yoga. And so and it was the same thing whenever I decided to become trained in energy healing and all the things. So when so fast forward, I've become an Access Consciousness facilitator, and I'm already looking at the specialty classes, and I'm like, Being You, boom, like the energy was just like boom. And so of course I attended my first Being You class with Dane, and holy explosions. Like it was like, there are no prerequisites for that class, by the way. And I'm every time I say that, I'm in shock, because I'm like, how are there no prerequisites for that class? Because it's like a master class.
I popped it in 2020, and I had people that had actually taken foundation from me in the class, and they were mind blown. And I thought, how are people that have never taken even a bars? Did they have to at least do bars? I don't even remember.
I don't think so. I don't think there are any prerequisites.
This class is like Access on steroids. How do you not have prerequisites? So that
I know
people's brains have to be melting, is what I was thinking.
Yeah. Well, the first Being You class I took, I was so much changed in my world, and it's really hard to put words to being.
Yeah. True.
But, and I may just cry, because like tapping into the energy of it, it's there's just so much space and joy and lightness and ease, and that joy was not something that I was very familiar with in this reality, in this lifetime. Right. And so to actually access that from one class, I was like, this is what I've known is possible, that I've never been able to access until now.
Well, this is what I found, and I don't know if this is true for you. We're not taught that we can access it. We're not taught to know that we can actually choose that. And that's the thing that I notice the most in my classes. I mean, I'm a Right Voice for You facilitator. I'm also a relationship done different facilitator.
Oh, I love that.
And I have a specialty class now. I'm gaslighting specialty. Well, I've got a few specialty classes, but it's that thing where when you can show somebody else that, hey, you know what, y'all, you actually got choice here. You can actually choose your life, your living, your being, and everything you've been talking about has been you choosing. I get it, girl, because you're a lot like I be. You follow the energy, you follow your knowing. When something pops for me, I'm in. It's like, okay, I'm there. Sign me up. I don't have to even think twice about it. I go, when a class comes up, I'll sign up and it's there. And when the beginning one, because for me, it was like, how am I taking all these classes? I'm not making enough to cover all the money always showed up, which was so funny.
Right.
This was my way of having my justifications for it. I would go, okay, I'll just pay 10% down. And then every week I'll just keep paying on it until it's paid. So by the time the class starts, and then I realized when I looked back on that later, I was like, I just chose it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to create some kind of story around it to make it make sense. Oh yeah, I'm taking these classes, but I'm telling my mom, yeah, but I'm on a payment plan. Payments.
Yeah.
And the thing
well,
was,
and I'm glad you're bringing this up, because this is for me, when I look back on this was something I learned about choice. A lot of times people will think, well, I have to wait until the money shows up before I can choose it. And whether it's a class or a car or a house or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But that's not how it works.
Not me.
It's not how it works, though. Like, energetically, you actually have to choose it first, and then the money shows up.
Yeah. You create the space for your choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And when I look back, I have probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars through going through all the different trainings of different modalities. And every time something would pop up, and I would be like, yes. And I don't know how, I don't have the money for this, but I'm choosing this and I'm having it, and the money would show up. But if there was the one that would pop up, and I would kind of be like, well, if the money shows up, then I'll choose it. And if it doesn't, then I won't. That's not choice, guys. That is not choosing. That is half-ass on the fence, straddling that mofo, and not choosing your life, right? And so the money would never show up in those scenarios.
It's like, if this, then this. If
exactly.
this, then this. And it's like,
right.
No,
that's not
how
I
am fucking choosing this universe.
I'm having it.
Elements. I want to work with the elementals to get me there. Get to work, because this is happening.
This is happening. It's going down.
So, right. We ain't joking here. Wow. So I have to know then, because I know for me, when I'm teaching, to me, like a Right Voice for You class is sort of like a Being You class on steroids, because being you is showing people that being themselves is the gift, and acknowledging them, all the stuff. When you do Right Voice for You, and I'm not ixnaying Being You at all, the only difference I see is now they've got to actually step into it. And I don't mean step into the shit, but I'm like, when you see somebody actually being vulnerable and being willing to step into all of who they be and be the voice in the world that they are without any apology. Oh my goddess, when I see one person get it, the moment when they get it, and it explodes my world even more, because it's like what Gary says, you can change one person's life, you've done your job.
Right.
Which was the whole point of Choosing Happiness book. I created that book for people that were already in access, that were trying to explain to the families and friends that they were not in a cult. Hey, these are very practical tools. They actually really work. So the way I write it, you would think you were having a conversation with me. And I also have it on Audible, peeps. I'm just going to do a little plug for the Choosing Happiness.
I love it.
An uncommon way to speaks 3 languages, fixing to speak Russian. Oh my goddess, the Russians could really use this book right now.
Right.
And it's it's getting published now in Russian, and it's getting translated into Arabic.
That's fantastic. How does it get better, honey?
How do it get better than that? But I have to know, because I'm sure you have a story of when you saw somebody just totally get it. Here you are facilitating Being You, a Being You class. Can you remember like a moment where you saw somebody just,
what I don't know if I've actually seen anybody get it yet, to be honest. But I remember when I got it.
Okay. Tell me that story then.
Yeah.
What was going on in your world?
So it was probably, you have to take so many BNU classes anyway to get to the thing. But the first one I took, I was like, I will never miss another BNU class ever, because it was so powerful. So it was not my first BNU class. It was another one, maybe my second one. And we were on lunch break, and I just remember being in the car with my husband. We were driving into town to get something. And
did he take the class with you?
No.
Oh, okay. Just checking. I was
and
very excited.
Yeah. And he uses the tools, and he takes classes, but he wasn't taking this one. And so anyway, but I just remember like being in the space where, and I don't want to say that I got it, because I don't want to destroy, like kill that, right? Because do you ever really get being, or is it just an infinite thing that you can continuously access more and more and more and more? But there was just, again, so much joy and space. And I remember looking at him, and it's, again, trying to put words to this.
Sure, I get it.
Kind of kills the magic. And so, I did the best I could, though, in that moment, because it was just kind of bubbling up inside of me. But at that moment, I realized how much time I had spent trying to define my being.
Yeah.
And finally getting that my being is undefinable. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I had to laugh. And then I started laughing uncontrollably, because I realized how crazy and insane I had been trying to find more consciousness and define more consciousness and define my being and define my purpose and all these things that are impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. I know where you're coming from, sister. I do.
Yeah. So just really starting to get the infiniteness of our being, and the infiniteness of the joy and the space and the play and the laughter, and actually allowing laughter. And Dane, here again, I'm going to give him major props for this, because his humor and his laughter, I'll share this. This was a funny story. I shared this with him at the BU class. And so I can say this and everybody in the world can hear it now, but, but one of my first classes with him, a live class I took, it was at the end of 2019, like 2 weeks after my foundation class. And it was my first big class and first one with him ever.
Got it.
And we were in person. And and at this time, I was still, like, my receiving was not, there was no receiving in my world. I'll just put it that way.
Receiving. I just went to, with the foghorns, receiving.
Yeah.
That's what all this is about. This conversation, if we just said the word receiving.
And humor is one of those things for me that really, like, you cannot be laughing hysterically and not receiving.
Sure.
And happiness, which, by the way, plug for the book again. Happiness was not something that I really knew much about from this lifetime. I grew up in addiction, and there was no happiness in my world. And so I remember sitting in that class with Dane and him making these jokes and people laughing, and I'm sitting over there with my arms crossed. I'm like, what the hell? This guy thinks he's so funny, and he's just this arrogant.
Did he call you out?
No, not.
No, he didn't.
No, not. Well, yes and no. So
okay, because I've seen it so many times. If you can't laugh at my jokes.
Yeah. So the second day I came back, and he said to me before class, he goes, "Well, you look happier today." And I was like, well, fuck you, I'm happy. But I wasn't happy. I didn't have a clue about what being happy was until I
look happy. He didn't tell you to be happy. He just said, look.
It's like, you look happier. And so it's been really a gift working with him and playing in the energy of the Being You. The Being You is an entity to me. The Being You classes and modality is an entity. And being with him and playing with him has unlocked so much for me. And I told him, I was like, you gave me my humor back. And it's been such a gift. And so now I laugh at the most inappropriate shit. I am the most irreverent fucking asshole you'll probably ever meet, other than Dane here and Gary Douglas. And I'm pretty happy with it. Like, cool.
It's funny. I was just at the grocery store with my mama Celeste. And I don't notice I'm doing these things because I sing all the time. And they had the music playing, and it was like so much my era. And all of a sudden, but very different kinds of songs. And all of a sudden, let's hear it for the boy. Let's give the boy a chance. Let's hear it for my baby. And here I am. But I'm not singing that loud, I don't think. And then this woman, I see her side-eyeing me. She got a little mask on. And she went back around the corner. I went, oh, I think I pissed that lady off, Mama. And then she comes back around and she goes, no, you didn't. You couldn't see that I was smiling. She pulled out her mask. Goes, that was a very happy glance over your way. And I was like, oh, well, thank you so much. I sing all the time. It's that thing where I'm always me. Always me. And I realized that I actually was always me all along. It's just that sometimes I made myself wrong for it.
Wow.
Because of, because people couldn't receive me.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the space of, I don't give a shit if they don't receive me. Doesn't mean I can't be me anyway, whatever I'm doing. And I facilitated in Paducah, Kentucky last weekend. And it was the weirdest things. We had a bars class and we had another class planned, but nobody chose it. So I created 2 half-day classes that everybody chose. And we were laughing so hard. I was like, I'm going to pee myself. Y'all, we got to take a 5-minute break.
Oh, that's the best. That's the best.
And what Dane says about that is, the gift you can be to Mother Earth is to laugh more.
Yes, truly.
Be happy. The thing is, it's our nature. So when did you discover that it was actually your nature? I mean, he's asking you going to smile in it today, girl? And you're like,
well, I was very, again, I was very serious, and consciousness was serious work, and so there, and I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. My grandfather was a Southern Baptist preacher. I'm from Arkansas, Brandi. Not far from you.
Did you hear when she said Arkansas? She went, I'm from Arkansas.
I'm from Arkansas. That's a
bit of an accent there, girl. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, and then of course, just growing up in addiction and all the things, I had to grow up very fast. I was the mother of my mother and my brother. And so there was no play. There was no play. There was no childhood. So it got very serious and heavy and responsible very quick. And so it wasn't until I found Access and Dane here really that I was able to start finding some happiness. And then also, this, you said, and I'm so, God, what a gift you are. When you said you were always you, but you judged you. Yeah. Honey, I was never me. I was constantly trying to prove that I was something that I had decided I wasn't. Oh. And this whole proving thing has been my whole life. And so
you need to prove, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna do this to prove that I'm worthy of people's admiration or
or whatever the hell, right? Like I'm gonna prove I'm not my mother, like the whatever. I'm gonna prove I'm a good mother because I had a shitty mother, and I'm gonna prove that I'm a good wife because she was a shitty wife or whatever, and it's just crazy. And so it's been a gift having these tools and realizing that, wow, you actually, when you're being you, there is no proving. And if you're proving, you're not being you. And so I'm just now getting to where I'm willing to actually be me and show up as me and not fucking prove anything. Like receive me or don't, and it's way more fun. It is way more fun to be me.
I'm going to share this with you and some of the listeners that if you're like, if you've been listening all along, you already know this. I am so not going to cut my arms and legs off for anyone. Mm-hmm. And so what I've discovered is that makes me unpredictable and it scares the fuck out of people. Mm-hmm. Really scares the fuck out. Celeste and I went and got manicures today. And we were talking, this woman, whatever, and I was making a joke about, anybody fucks with my cat or my mom, I will kill them. I say that quite frequently because it's funny also. Yeah. And I said, and don't think I can't get intense because I can get intense. And my mom's like, mm-hmm. And it's a true story. Yeah. And then the woman who's using my nails, she's like, but you've always been so sweet. I'm an over tipper and all the things. And she's like, I can't imagine you ever getting intense. And I said, yeah, you wouldn't want to be around me when I'm intense. I said, the cool part about it is I don't have a point of view about that either. I just do it because I know it's required. Yeah. I look over at my mom, right, Celeste? She goes, that's right. I've seen it. She goes, Italian accent, And I said, but it's always worked out, right? She goes, yes, it's always worked out. It's like, she is such an allowance of me.
That is such a gift to have somebody like that in your world.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I know I'm her favorite. I'm one of 6 kids. I'm the one that took her in. But I mean, if I was a stand-up comic, she gives me so much material. Okay?
Love it.
That I use for all my classes. And
Aww,
like everybody
that's
cannot
so
wait to meet Celeste because it's a joy. And and I can kind of pick on her in front of people and she'll make a face, but she knows I don't really mean it. It's just,
yeah.
I mean, I don't really take anything seriously anymore. And for a lot of people, they take it as I don't care or I'm all about me. And the thing is for me, it's freedom, number one, for myself and for others, because I'm not going to try to change your world, and I'm not asking you to change mine. I'm here for the planet. If y'all want to come play, cool. I get it, but these tools, they're lifesavers, man. I mean, I couldn't be where I am today with my access business, all the things. And COVID has been a gift. And this book, it's basically a ripoff of the 10 keys. I just wrote it in a way that people could receive it outside of Access.
I love it.
I noticed that every Access book is written in Access Speak. And my family was like, is she involved in another cult? Because I followed a guru for 23 years.
Oh, wow.
And until I was in India on a meditation retreat with him and several others, and I got shot by terrorists. And I'm like, oh, now, this is very interesting, because they had such a different point of view about it than I did. And that's what triggered me leaving that organization, because I was already involved with Access to some extent. And the guru was saying, oh, that's a cult. You don't want to be involved. And it was like, hey, he's telling me that I don't want to be involved because,
he didn't want you leaving his cult.
That's true. And the cool thing about Access is nobody's trying to sign you up for anything.
Right. It's so funny. I heard Dane talking the other day. He said something. He's like, well, you guys know we're a sex cult. And he said, but the thing is I've never been invited to any of these sex things. He's like, if I'm the creator of this sex cult, how am I not getting invited? And I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. It's funny because we don't have points of view about who you want to have sex with. They think it's a sex cult.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And now you guys are going to probably have a very different point of view about this podcast. No, I don't care. If you're still here, you're just as bright as we are. Just saying.
And you're a gift.
Indeed. Don't forget the gift that you be, by the way.
Yeah.
Be you, changing the world. It's possible. It's possible. Very interesting. Okay. Well, I got to ask you this one question, because it is called the Get Happy Podcast because of the Choosing Happiness book. This happy little yellow book. I don't know if you can see this. He's literally, I'm afraid I'm going to drop that prop if I try to pick it up. So I'll just show it to you in another language. He's literally hanging off of a heart. It's like he's trying to choose happiness. He's like pulling it in, going, hey, y'all, I'm choosing this. In Portuguese and Spanish. Anyway, that's for you, those of you not watch. Oh, heavens. For those of you not on YouTube, I just showed my breasts, sort of. Anyway.
Now they're definitely going to go to YouTube now and check out the video.
My mother gave me this shirt and it's so low cut and I'm just not used to low cut shirts. So I'm noticing as I'm talking to you, I'm like, I have cleavage.
Johnny's showing the goods.
You've got cleavage too. You got more cleavage than I do, girl. I mean, but this is a very nice bra and it do all the things. So, you see what I mean? I have no filter. I am always me.
You are my peeps, honey.
Yeah, I had a woman the other day say, we're joining my spirit animal. I swear. If there's anybody I'd like to be like, you know what, girl, you got to be you. Be you, change the world. There's a book about it. Let me show you the book.
Wrote a book about it. Want to hear it? Here it goes.
Here it goes. Oh my gosh, you've got to go to my...
And the rest will follow.
I love it. Become a blonde, don't be so shallow. They're actually on tour with New Kids.
What? Oh my God.
Vogue.
That's awesome.
In Vogue. In Salt and Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that sang the only song I can remember, never want to let you up, never want to bring you down, and desert you. I don't know. So it's like four iconic bands all turned together, but I digress. My question that I did not get to You guys are still listening. I know.
Boobies and In Vogue. I mean, we get off on some tangents.
I love the In Vogue, though.
Me too.
I love the In Vogue. I had 2 of their CDs. I know every word. I am a singer. I remember all the words. Love In Vogue. In Vogue. If you ever want to be on the Get Happy podcast, if you hear this,
there you go.
10 years later and it's still happening, hell, I'll re-invoke it if it isn't happening, because I would love to talk to you girls. Beautimous girls. Mm-hmm. So the question is, it is the Get Happy podcast. So please tell our podcast peeps, Brandi, what is it you do to get your happy on?
Masturbate.
Okay.
I loved how you just ran that tongue.
I love your laugh. It's like you and Simone Millasis have the coolest laughs. Yours is like this little high pitched thing, but hers is, which reminds me of Sheldon in Big Bang Theory, because he always goes, when he laughs, he goes, and it's the same laugh, and yet, his is an act and hers is for reals. And I'm like, every time she laughs, my heart chakra, whatever y'all want to call it, this whole area right here where my
where the boobies were.
Just I know.
That's what you were really doing. You were just opening your heart chakra to all of us.
Yes, I was filling up my heart chakra through my cleavage over here, my nice push-up bra, all the things. Wow. Okay, so anything else about that? I guess that's all that we need to go there. I mean, I know you have a husband.
I do.
You include him in this process of getting happy, or okay, you don't have to answer that question.
This morning I did not. I was all on my own.
I love it. I adore you. Maybe you're my spirit animal. I don't know. It's possible. It's possible. Wow. Okay. I don't know. This is another question. Because now I'm really curious. And I could talk to you forever, but I've got to ask you at least one more question. Okay.
Okay.
So I remember quite clearly what the first tool was that kind of woke me up with access or made me go, oh my God. For me, it was superior asshole. Because I realized, because I was a meditation teacher, I've been following a guru all this time. I taught meditation classes 4 nights out of the week. I had my own clinic. We were like so hip in Nashville. We had yoga and I know you were a yoga teacher, and we had all these different types of practitioners, all these different ways and there was no access at the time. Yeah. But my whole thing when I taught meditation was, you'll do it my way.
Which is the right way.
And righteousness beyond the beyonds. Okay. I was such an asshole. Yes, you have to have these. You have to have these hand mudras like these, and you must contemplate your navel, and you must be vegetarian. And I mean, I love a rare steak now, but at the time, I was a tofu queen of the capital, and discovered much later that actually before access that didn't really work for me. I was so iron deficient and all the other stuff. Yeah. I never took into account that everybody has a way of getting to where they're trying to go. There's so many paths up the mountain, but the view from the top.
Oh, truly.
So here I was, the superior asshole of unconsciousness.
Yeah.
And when
I know nothing of that.
It was like, okay, I don't like being that person. And I'm going to stop that shit right now. So that was my first takeaway in access. Do you remember what your first takeaway was?
My first takeaway.
Or one of the ones that got you.
Yeah, I would say my biggest explosion to what I had defined as my reality was that class that I was talking about that I'd gone to of Dane's. It was an ESP class. And
energetic synthesis of being, you guys. This whole thing that he does. So.
Oh, it's so good. But I remember being in that class, and I too had been in the metaphysical world for forever, and superiority of magnitude, and being all serious about consciousness. And so to be in this class and just to get to the awareness of how much bullshit
Yeah.
I had been buying and selling
Right.
as consciousness that was only fueling the separation
Sure.
rather than the oneness. And just having my whole world just like, I remember coming home and from that class, and I took everything I had metaphysical and I threw it out.
I donated.
I was like, I'm not even donating this shit. I am not contributing to this anymore. I mean, it was an intense moment.
It was weird. I set a giant box back to my Guru with all the CDs and everything, so that if there were other people that he wanted to share them with, he could. That was my way of saying thank you, and here you go. I know I paid for all this stuff, but here you go, thousands of dollars,
thousands of
dollars. And then I remember a friend of mine, metaphysical guy, he had a little, like one of those library things where you take a book, you leave a book, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I brought all the books to him, and he goes, "Are you sure?" And then all the crystals.
I kept my big crystals though, because I love my crystals.
No. Not. I didn't finish my sentence. It was all the crystals I had bought from my Guru. I gifted those to people that I knew could enjoy them, because I had a point of view, and I knew that they weren't going to contribute to me anymore because I had these points of view.
Yeah.
My doorbell just rang. That's just crazy. During the Get Happy podcast. Okay, talk amongst yourselves.
We're just going to watch Rudrani walk away. If you're not watching the YouTube, you totally should, because you'll get boobies and ass. And she's got gifts.
You know what? It's so funny. When I saw my emails that said my package was delivered, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, somebody stole my little package." These are my little shakes. And then I was like, what else is possible, universe? Because I don't get that anybody stole it from me. And then they just prematurely ejaculated that I got my package. And it's not true, because y'all, here it is, my package. Not that kind of package.
Now, we watched your package walk away to the door.
I'm going to have to blur out the address now, because y'all try to find me and stalk me and all the things, and, you know, because I know how fabulous I am. So anyway, sorry.
He's showing up at the door. Where's the boobies and the ass?
That's right. I like, thank you. He goes, no problem. Anyway, them UPSP peoples.
Yeah.
They're serious all the time. You ever notice that he's delivering one next door too. What do you know?
Lucky all right, people in your neighborhood.
Just saying. We all ordering in. You know how it is. Dial it up. Anyway, I could talk to you forever. Obviously, we have been best friends in several lifetimes. I'm just guessing.
And had no fun at all.
At all. Probably masturbated together. Just
hope so.
I adore you. It's official. Fucking adore you. Okay, so here's the thing. Where could the peeps find you if they were looking for you, Miss Brandi Nelson?
They could go to brandinelson.me.
Me, all of me. Why not be all of you? I don't want you to be all of me. I want you to be all of you. Anyway, okay. That's cool. So that's where they could find all the stuff?
Yeah, all the stuff. They could also call 1-800-SPANK-ME. No, I'm kidding. Just go to brandinelson.me. There you will find the 1-800-SPANK-ME.
Of course.
Or maybe it's the 1-900-SPANK-ME. I'm not sure. It's a 900 number, right? I think it's a 900 number.
It's not an 888.
Maybe an 888. I don't know.
888 also. There is. We are totally digressing and having way too much fun doing it. But you're also on Facebook. I'm sure you got an Instagram handle. Yep. What's your Instagram handle?
That's a great question. If you just find me on Facebook, Brandi Nelson, you'll find me, you'll know me, you can't miss me.
Alrighty then. We'll make sure we have all the stuff down there.
Yeah. All the stuff down there. She's pointing down there. If you're not watching the YouTube video, you totally should.
Down there.
You got boobies, you got ass, and now you got crotch. So
now you got down there too. That's a true story. There. Okay. And wow.
Man, we've just gone all over the place. This is what happens when you have no point of view and you just have fun.
Yeah, right. And this has been, you're just lovely. And I am so grateful.
Thank you for having me, honey.
You decided to come on and play with the Get Happy lady.
Yes.
And
we need more of the Get Happy in the world. So I'm happy to contribute to that.
Thank you. And on the Ticketed Talk, y'all, I am blowing up on the Ticketed Talk. Me and Miss Pinky over here.
My
angry unicorn. No, actually,
I will go find you on Tickety Talk.
You must. I'll make sure to help you out with that if I need to. But
okay.
I'm having way too much. Yeah, please subscribe, Brandon Nelson, and all y'all out there in podcast land. If you want to laugh, and I'm not joking, I actually make myself laugh. When I need to laugh, I go to the Ticketed Talk. And when I want to watch Celeste laugh, my mom, I'm like, look what I just put on Ticketed Talk. I've only been on for like 2 weeks. It started out with like 3 followers, and now it's like 80 something, whatever now. And it's just, I have people going, you are so fucking funny. What planet are you from? And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? I don't even know. Tell me. Write in. Let me know. All right, love. Thank you so much for playing. If you guys enjoyed this conversation, hey, there's a subscribe button down there. And maybe share with the peeps that you know that this conversation could have been a contribution to, will be a contribution to now or in the future. And maybe they're just tight asses and they need a laugh.
Yeah, I would say probably.
And if you can't laugh by listening to this laugh, then you're dead. That's all I'm going to say. Wow, this has been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you all for listening in, especially if you're still listening. I am very impressed. Not really. Whatever. See you next time, y'all. Ciao for now.
Bye.